Okay, right. We're now live. So it's the two Bridget. It's the Bridget show today, isn't it, Bridget?
It is.
Except Bridget. Who would have thought? The two B's, except Bridget has got no D, and I've got a D in my name. So welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us. Today we're going to talk about a subject that is really no one's favourite topic, actually, and that's about your finances. And we're talking about why being single and managing your finances well is a great thing. And it's not all doom and gloom. I mean, from my own perspective, it's very difficult when you've been in a relationship and you've been in one household and you've suddenly find yourself catapulted into a obviously single status and having to manage the finances because you're now in two different households. And that is, I found it really fearful. And, for a while there, sometimes if you haven't, had a hold of the finances in your previous relationship, it can be really difficult. And at times you can go through all sorts of emotions and denial, but then you tell yourself you've really got to get it together and be able to move on in terms of your new beginnings. And part of that actually, isn't it, Bridget, is managing your finances. So you're an expert in this area. And what are your thoughts on about, the fear that people have as single people trying to manage their finances? What do you think?
Yeah, being single, it does present some unique financial planning challenges. It's a whole new realm for many people, but it doesn't necessarily need to be a scary one, or like you say, the doom and the gloom, because there are many positives that can come out of this. But there's also some steps that you need to take in order to ensure that you're going down the right pathway.
Right.
Because you're the only one earning the income. You still have to pay those bills. You need to make the most of what you have, because really there's no one else to fall back on, and nor do you want to be, have to keep falling back on others. You want to gain that independence. You want to remove that fear of living, paycheck to paycheck. You want to have, some resilience should that unexpected happen.
Yeah, that's right. Before we go any further, I actually wanted to introduce you properly. So Bridget Arnold is an expert advisor for Exes, but she's also she's a financial advisor for Cambridge Partners. Tell us more, Bridget, about what you do in terms of money.
So what we do is we work with people, all sorts of people, all sorts of situations, and all sorts of different financial capability and capacity. And what we do is we work with them to identify what their financial goals are and try and find those pathways and identify those changes that need to be made, and put together a plan so that they can look forward and have that security about where they are going and what their financial position will be when they go into retirement. So again, it's another area that they don't need to be fearful of. They can have that confidence in that journey that they're taking, to ensure that they can live the lifestyle that they want to, because we all want to be able to live the lifestyle we want. It's the fear of missing out or not having or not doing can cause stress and just frustrations. So that's what we try to do, is just support that journey to make some really good decisions.
Great. And you talked about core steps that you need to make in terms of having your own financial independence. And, the first thing is that, we talked about briefly before we came, we were live, that people need to create a budget. Is that right? And what else do people need to do when they find themselves in this scenario?
Yeah, the first step that I always say, and it can be confronting, but the first step is be honest, acknowledge your financial situation. Don't hide away. Don't, not open your bills, because they're not going to go away. They'll forever be there. But also realize collectively with yourself and your kids and, anyone else around you, that there is change, and there are some changes that are going to need to take place, but it's not forever, because you can change your financial position over time by just taking some good steps, and just identifying those steps and identifying where you might need support, but where you can, take those steps on your own, or learn via different platforms that resonate with you, whether that's podcasts or blogs or going to different courses. Everyone's got their own platforms on how to get started. But, we've all heard it. Budgeting is essential for everyone. No matter what their position is or situation is, everybody needs a good budget and needs to live by their budget. It's so easy to stray from a budget. So you just need to start, because, every dollar that is coming in, there needs to be some freedom around that, but those dollars do need to be accounted for, and you need to have a clear understanding of what those dollars need to be used for, so you don't get yourself in trouble. You don't get yourself into debt and use those horrible credit cards, or again have to ask for money, because that's not empowering for anyone.
No, absolutely not. So we talked briefly about creating an emergency fund. Can you tell our viewers what you mean by that?
Yeah, so emergency fund is essentially a means to allow you to sleep at night, to not be fearful of the unexpected. Should the roof blow off, should the car break down, or heaven forbid you lose your job, because you actually, when you are on your own, unless you've got good, strong family support, you don't have another person within the home bringing in an additional income. So it's about trying to start squirreling away some money, creating what we say is a financial safety net. And then generally it is around, looking into how much should you be putting aside for that raining day, for that unexpected event, or for that potential job loss. And that's allowing you the freedom if you save between 3 to 6 months worth of expenses into liquid savings. You don't want you don't want to take that money and invest it into something that is, locked up. You want to be on a term deposit, for example, that you couldn't access, or there'd be a break fee, or you're penalised if you break that term. So put it into a cash account that has the capacity to fund your living for the next 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, people talk a lot about retirement and having to save for retirement. Why is saving for retirement important?
Being on your own, I mean, you don't know. You might meet, Prince Charming, or, an heiress from, a royal magnet or something like that. Things can become a better situation for
That's
you.
right.
But on your own, it's that financial security and that retirement, it does rest firmly on your shoulders, and along with everything else that is resting on your shoulders. And it can be something you think, crying down the sink, this is the last thing. That's far away. Why do I need to be worrying about that now? But there is a real opportunity cost on delaying that planning, on delaying that building for that future. There is an opportunity cost in which you are missing out on the longer that you delay that. So it is the key to it is, meet with an advisor, understand what cash flow forecasting is all about, understand how you can contribute to your investments, to your savings along the way, and see how that growth can build up over time. And actually, what's also really important is to understand the cost of living when you are retired, because superannuation just isn't going to cut it. It's just, you can't live on that alone.
It's minimal.
And it's quite, surprising how much you actually do need to be able to live on in the future.
Yeah. Is there sort of an average amount is there sort of a number that people need to strive for in terms of saving for retirement?
Yeah, there is a report that has been produced in conjunction with Massey University, and it depends on whether you live in a major city or if you're more rural based. But if you're wanting that comfortable lifestyle, annually that can cost you between $60,000 to $80,000 a year. Just with the two of you, and not much more, not much less if you are on your own. So it's, it is really a something that you need to be aware of. And so saving for that, having that wiggle room, that freedom, once you do retire, once, more income is not coming in other than your super, your pension, it's really important to have that clarity.
Absolutely. So would you say that people tend to spend too much money on food, buying too many groceries, eating out too much, having too many coffees? Do you think that's one of the areas where people overspend?
Absolutely. I mean, the worst thing you can do is go to the supermarket hungry, or suddenly think that you're a gourmet cook and are going to buy, things like aubergines to make moussaka, and then you recognize that's the last thing you feel like doing when you come home after doing all the after school activities or anything like that. So it does take a bit of planning. It's easy to think, there's no bread, let's just, buy the school lunches, but everything adds up. And it's really surprising how much you do end up spending on food, on you thinking it's just a coffee catch up. But when you actually run through the good old bank statement, you think, wow, this is crazy. So then the other thing that is really important to do, I mean, you need to keep social. You need to be able to go out and meet your friends, go out for dinner, go to bars, etc. Whether you're dating or just, as a social thing. So you don't want to stop that activity. You just need to plan for it and be able to ensure that, you can have that freedom. Maybe have the party at your place, have the drinks, have the dinner party.
Hot luck, something.
Yeah, and just ensure you're still enjoying life. But give yourself, make some savings so you can change it up a bit and just carry on with life.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, thanks, Bridget, for coming along and giving us a bit of an insight into how being single and finding your finances it's really rewarding managing your own finances as a single person rather than being fearful. So if anyone wants to contact Bridget and like her to help you in terms of the scenario that you're going through financially, her contact details are on just above this video. Okay, so thanks, Bridget, for coming on.
Thank you.
And we will do another Facebook Live together in another 3 or 4 weeks.
Awesome. See you all then.
Have a lovely day, everyone. Bye.
Bye.